They are calling it the shot heard around the world. We are talking about the assassination attempt that took place just under 24 hours ago on Donald Trump. We're going to connect the dots, and I'm going to show you guys this is nothing new. This has always happened to similar figures in the past. And we're going to break it down and reveal the truth on why would anybody want Donald Trump dead.
Francis Dune, Uncensored.
That is right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Francis Dune Uncensored live stream edition. Breaking news took place last night with Donald Trump, an assassination attempt. Somebody, a gunman that was on a roof, had a sniper and shot bullets at him around 7. One grazed him. But the question remains, why would anybody want this man dead? Whether you're into conspiracy theories or you're just into common sense or whatever you go by, we're going to break this down for you, okay? We're going to play a couple of videos. I'm going to reference to Abraham Lincoln. I'm going to also talk about Nikola Tesla, as you saw in the thumbnail, because it's all relevant to what's here. And it comes down to special interest or conflict of interest. It's all about maintaining wealth. It's all about maintaining power by any means necessary. What you need to understand is the game works like this. You know, Mahatma Gandhi once said a famous saying. It went on the lines of, first, they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win, right? Something along those lines. I hope I got it correct. And, you know, normally they'll try to conduct some form of like character assassination. They ridicule you. They will demonize you. And if that doesn't work, then they'll probably try to throw your ass in jail. You know what I'm saying? Vigorously try to do that. Embarrass you with that too. Call you a felon, right? And I'm not just talking about the recent things that happened to Trump. Just in history. And if that don't work, well, God forbid that they try to kill you, because that is their last plan there, just to make sure that we are alive and we are alive. Thank you, people, for joining us. You're in for something a little bit different today, but it's important because this has ripple effects across the world, okay? So let's get right to the program here. We're just going to show this clip here for people who didn't see. You probably saw it 100 times by now. Let's play it. So essentially, I know you guys couldn't hear the volume there, but essentially, it's almost like, you know, when you're outside in the garden and you're doing whatever in the summertime, your business, and you feel like a little stinger or a bee, something hit your ear. That's what happened there. He got grazed. To say that how this man dodged a bullet, literally dodged a bullet is an understatement. He literally dodged a bullet. Guys, things like this don't happen too often in your lifetime. J.F. Kennedy, Abraham Lincoln, this happens once in a while. So you are living in historical times. You're going to be hearing about this for another 100, 200, 300 years, like we talked about J.F. Kennedy, right, and Abraham Lincoln. I'm telling you, it's that big. But the question remains, why would anybody want this man dead? And that brings us to the next clip over here. So now there are reports that the Secret Service had intel on this particular sniper, that he was already on the roof. And let's just take a look at this now. So what you just saw there was the Secret Service on their high point, scouring the area. Well, they weren't even scouring. They were making sure they was safe. Now, there's only one other roof in the vicinity, apparently. I'm not a ballistics expert, okay, but I think anybody with half a brain could understand this. Apparently, they decided to return fire. But there are reports that are claiming that how they knew there was somebody on the roof. That's just a threat. Whether he's going to clean the roof or you don't even know. It's like the guy had time to take out the gun, whistling his favorite song, shining it up, polishing it up, and then he had a fucking picnic. The guy was like eating bananas and fucking apples and shit and sandwiches, bologna sandwiches, and then he decided to pull the trigger. Then the Secret Service was like, all right, well, let's get this guy, bam, 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 bam. You find a useful idiot, you let him do what he wants to do to carry out certain things. I'm not saying, look, first of all, I don't know what happened here. I'm just trying to make sense of it. And the way I make sense of most things, history always repeats itself. You know why? Because we never really remember the actual events that unfolded in history. We only remember what? The time and the dates, right? Go to history class in any school. They're going to say, when did Christopher Columbus discover the New World? blah, 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 the time and the date. When did this happen? When did that happen? There's always times and dates, so we forget the events that unfold. And that brings us to why they may want this individual dead. Well, when Trump was the president, not too long ago, Trump's best foreign policy, not starting any wars. It's well documented. Once he was in power, there weren't any wars. Now, why would that be a problem for certain people? Well, it's very simple. War, as you may or may not know, is a $1 trillion industry. It's a big business. It's a booming industry. How U.S. businesses profit from war worldwide. The U.S. spends hundreds of billions of dollars, both domestically and internationally, to advance U.S. interests. But some of the biggest beneficiaries are also some of the world's largest corporations. For example, in 2022, Biden signed the, whatever it's crossed out, National Defense Authorization Act, allocating $816.7 billion to the U.S. Defense Department. And we can't forget that they are arms and ammunition manufacturers who make the most out of this. There's all kinds of different online literature here, right? This one says profits of war, corporate beneficiaries of the post 9/11. You see, when you can't buy a man out because he has all kinds of money already, and he's a true patriot, he's not a part of the establishment, he's not a groomed actor politician, right? That's a problem because now you're not guaranteed to get your way. You're not guaranteed to have certain laws passed to favor your business. You're not guaranteed to take an offer from a corporation to bypass a law so it benefits them and they pay you off, right? That's the problem here, right? Like politicians, when you look at their salary, it's not even that much. Something like 100K, 150K, maybe 200K at most. But why are they filthy rich in some cases? Why are they billionaires? Why are they millionaires? It's not because of the salary. It's because of that they have power, they have influence, they are connected, and they can get shit done, in your particular industry. Whether that is, pharmaceuticals industry, or whether that's in, the war industry, or what have you, whatever it is. Right? We all know what with COVID and the vaccine, how much $1 billion companies popped up overnight because of it. Okay? So here we go again. And they tell us that the Pentagon spending has totaled over $14 trillion since the start of war in Afghanistan. Okay? With 1/3 to 1/2 of the total going to military contractors. Once again, big money, especially these guys, Lockheed Martin, Boeing. So a large portion of these contracts, 1/4 to 1/3 of all Pentagon contracts in recent years have gone to just 5 major corporations: Lockheed Martin, Boeing, General Dynamics, etc., etc., etc. And, Patrick Bet-David, I'm sure you guys know of him. He has, online video as well. The monopoly on war. How the military-industrial complex is bankrupting America. Okay, guys? It's very funny, So for those who's been following me, I took a trip to Hong Kong, and all the things that I heard about China and how bad it is, and it's a dictatorship. You better be careful. You have no freedom. Oh, that country has not advanced. All this shit. Bro, when I went down there, my jaw was to the ground. I couldn't believe how advanced, how developed, how organized every single thing was. From the moment I landed in that airport, to getting a taxi, to getting home, the infrastructure, the roads, the buildings, just towering skyscrapers everywhere. Right? The freedom was unlike anything. For example, you could actually enter that country in Hong Kong with a lot more money that you can going to, say, America without being bombarded with a bunch of paperwork and acting like a criminal for taking your own money across. So this notion of what we hear about, the East, of it being dictatorship, let me tell you, bro, we are being deceived. The media is deceiving us, okay? And over here, there's another video here. So how do politicians keep getting so rich? So the question remains, why would they want this man dead? It comes down to conflict of interest. If I am going to not get into wars, and that now means that how your buddies at Lockheed Martin and these other companies who are making these weapons, bang them out, sell them for massive profits, right? That's a big problem, because now I'm cutting off a lot of your money supply. I'm cutting off your $1 trillion industry, your $1 billion industry, bro. They're going to come after you. They're going to try to wipe your ass out. And speaking about wiping your ass out, well, I'm sure you know this guy's face. He's on that American coin. I think it's the penny. Abraham Lincoln. Why is Abraham Lincoln even in this presentation? Why is Abraham Lincoln even on my thumbnail? Well, fun fact, Abraham Lincoln and Donald Trump have two, similarities that are just shining in your face and blinding you. So they're the only two presidents at the time to have the opposition try to charge them or throw them in jail, number one. Number two, there are two presidents, okay, who had attempted assassinations on their head. One was successful, obviously Lincoln, and the other that took place less than 24 hours ago wasn't so successful. But again, that doesn't make sense. Why is he even part of this? Not only because of that, but why did they want him dead? Why did they want Abraham Lincoln dead? This is where I'm going to get you to be on your aha moment. This is where your ass is going to get your aha moment. Now check this out. This is why they killed him. The Emancipation Proclamation. President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863. As the nation approached its third year of bloody civil war, the proclamation declared that all persons held as slaves within the rebellious states are now henceforward shall be free. It's well documented that Abraham Lincoln was not for slavery. But you know what? The powers that be at the time, these rich individuals like the J.P. Morgans of the world, the royal family and other families from back then, and even businesses like we see them today as corporations, was heavily invested into this. Okay? Pay attention. Bank admits it owned slaves. America's second biggest bank, J.P. Morgan Chase, okay, remember that name, has made a rare apology for its subsidiaries' involvement in the slave trade 200 years ago, admitting that it accepted slaves as a loan collateral and ended up owning several hundred. The Wall Street heavyweight said parts of the business accepted thousands of slaves as collateral on fucking loans made to plantation owners in the South in the early 19th century. It sent a letter to the employees expressing blah, 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 blah. So now we have the likes of J.P. Morgan and others heavily invested into this business called slavery, where they will have black and even Indian people cut cane on the hayfield, do whatever they got, sell them for money, like if they're just fucking fresh meat. Like butchered meat. Literally. That was a big business. Today, we know that's fucked up. We know that's wrong. That's inhumane. But back then, it wasn't like that. They were making millions of dollars from this ordeal. And we have a gentleman who's very famous in this space here. The slave trading. Y'all be doing crypto trading. You're trading your meme coins. You're trading your fucking NFT. You're trading your ordinal art, bro. Did you know back in the day you could trade people? Holy shit. It's called slave trading. So, the two most ruthless domestic slave traders in America had a secret language for their business. Slave trading was a game. The men Isaac Franklin and John Armfield were daring pirates or one-eyed men. Blah, 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 blah. Look, this is just showing you more names. To my certain knowledge, she has been used that smartly by one-eyed man. They're talking about this guy over here. Okay? And Wikipedia has a nice description on him. Okay? So he was an American slave trader and plantation owner, born to wealthy planters in what would become Sumner County, Tennessee. He assisted his brothers in trading slaves and agricultural surplus along Mississippi River in his youth before briefly serving in the Tennessee, militia, I guess that's the militants, etc., etc., etc. But we're not done yet. Remember I told you about J.P. Morgan? Well, let's take a look at this. What are the British monarchy's historical links to slavery? While it is difficult to say how much of the royal family's wealth is owed to the slave trade, the past links date back to the 16th century. Protest has taken, let's just read this highlight. The slave trade was protected by the royal family and parliament. It is difficult to estimate how much of the current royal family's wealth is owed to slavery, but it is understood that the profits of the slave trade funded the treasury as well as Britain's industries, buildings, okay? So the infrastructure, Britain's industries, buildings, railways, roads and parks, and slavery. That was like a commodity. That was just a known business. But Abraham said, you know what? I don't care about you powerful people. This is not right. And I'm going to stop it. This is no longer going to be legal. And that's what he did. And sure enough, what happened to him when you're trying to fight the powers that be? Well, they made fun of him. There was all kinds of attacks on this guy, character assassination attacks as well, you know? But at the end of the day, when we look at when he made this announcement on January 1st of 1863, we had April 15th of 1865, he was assassinated. Okay, President Abraham Lincoln died. Well, actually, he died at that point. I think it was like he was hospitalized. But on or around that date, this happened, right? About 2 years later, he was assassinated, crept up on, and there goes that. So there are some eerie similarities when it comes to Donald Trump, when it comes to Abraham Lincoln. At the end of the day, it appears as though their demise, well, not Trump, God forbid that happened, sorry, I can't say their demise, but the demise of Abraham Lincoln was led to the abolishment of slavery, which cut off what? Money supply going to these rich fuckers. Okay? That's what happened to him. Also with Trump, we know that how he's not, I don't really get into politics. People might say, hey, Francis, just stick to what you know best, bro. That Bitcoin shit, that 100x shit, that crypto shit that you're good at. Stick to that. But let me tell you guys something, bro. Before I got into this space, I was a researcher of life, and it led me down the rabbit hole of, governments, religion, all these like belief systems and mechanisms, mainstream media, and that led me to crypto. So I was actually involved in these areas well before I knew about this thing called crypto. Crypto just made sense. It sounded like a way out of the current centralized corrupt system. So I want to make that clear. I always was that guy. But getting back to my point before my coffee gets cold, it all comes down to them protecting their wealth and their power. Okay, guys? That's what it really comes down to. Do share this with people in the chat. Do share this on Twitter, etc. I do appreciate that. I know I haven't been live in a minute. So people, you guys get the bell notification freaking like, I don't know, 5 hours and shit from now. It is delayed. So there we go. So we have two similarities where it was a conflict of interest that led to these people having this attempt assassination on them. Now let's go back to the big Don himself over here. Nikola Tesla. If it wasn't for Elon Musk, 99% of the world's population wouldn't even know what Tesla is or was. Was it a man? Was it a robot? Was it a thing? What was it? Okay, now let's talk about Nikola Tesla. Right here, okay? Nikola Tesla tapped into many different energies that could have replaced the current primary electricity of which was copper wires, okay? And this is going to blow your mind too. And it comes back down to the same individual, J.P. Morgan, who actually was Nikola Tesla's #1 investor. He funded him. And he had a lot of money invested into copper wires at the time. But look what happened. When, let me just read this for you. So Tesla's work provides a blueprint for a future powered by renewable energy. He tapped into all kinds of cool technology. And at the time, he was considered way ahead of his time, right? So back then, he was way ahead of his time. Even today, he would have been ahead of his time. But he proposed using geothermal energy to heat up homes and power businesses. He developed a solar-powered tower that could generate enough electricity to power in an entire city. You see this little small device right here? This little thing? That thing could run an entire city for 24 hours without any use of fossil fuels or gas. That was renewable energy. And then you're wondering, well, why wouldn't we want to adopt that? Very simple, because when something is free, renewable, accessible, and abundant, well, there ain't no money in it. It's not the best investment, right? If everybody has access to it and all this shit, you just need to get a device the size of that, the size of like maybe 3 shoeboxes vertically. There's no money involved in that. Just like the pharmaceutical industry, there's no money in healthy people. You needed to come back to take that pill, to get that jab, whatever it may be. Right? Well, the same is true in other areas. When you want to monopolize something, you need to be the centralized figure. You need to be the one that everyone comes through to get that commodity. And there's no money involved in renewable energy. So that brings me to over here now, where, Nikola Tesla, who dreamed of free electricity for all. Okay, this is, well documented. Tesla's long-held dream was to create a source of inexhaustible clean energy that was free for everyone. he strongly opposed centralized coal-fired power stations that spewed carbon dioxide into the air that humans breathed. And ironically enough, we're still dependent on fossil fuels and gas today. You know why? Because the oil industry is a $33 trillion piggy bank for someone, and they don't want to see that energy source be replaced for something that's, as I just said, renewable, free, abundant, and costs next to nothing. Okay? So what happened to Nikola Tesla then? Well, let me first show you JP Morgan. So JP Morgan offered Tesla $150,000. Back in those days, that was okay money, right? To build a transmission tower and power plant. A more realistic sum would have been $1 million. But Tesla took what was available and went to work immediately. In spite of what he told his investor, meaning JP Morgan, Tesla's actual plan was to make a large-scale demonstration of electrical power transmission without wires. This turned out to be a fatal mistake. You know why? Because JP Morgan, right here, against his father's advice, Morgan invests everything in Edison to form the Edison Electricity Company. They create the world's first power station, and soon half of Manhattan's connected. But every home and business lit electrically is a lost customer to Rockefeller, who supplies kerosene to the oil-powered lamps. You guys know that. When you watch Pirates of the Caribbean, you know, the oil-powered lamps, right? That's ancient tech. So they came up with electricity. Frickin' Rockefeller didn't like that shit because now you're disrupting him. So now JP Morgan had Tesla and Edison he was working with, and then he saw that how Tesla could create this free, reusable, renewable, abundant technology that could replace what he is invested in, which is this thing with Thomas Edison. So once again, what does it come down to? A conflict of interest. But you're probably saying, but he didn't have an assassination attempt. It's still the same, right? Their goal is to try to wipe you out if it's a conflict of interest, whether that's a character assassination, throw your ass in jail, or even ostracize your ass. And that's exactly the option that they use when it came to Nikola Tesla. And by the way, the monarch owns the seabed. So we're talking about the Queen again, BP Petroleum. That's another big revenue stream for them, right? So we have the wars, now we have the oil. Okay, Nikola Tesla was going to bring technology at that time that will disrupt oil. So check this out. After Nikola Tesla was found dead in January of 1943, in his hotel room in New York City, representatives of the U.S. government's Office of Alien Property seized many documents relating to the brilliant and prolific 86-year-old investor's work. It was the height of World War II, and Tesla had claimed to have invented a powerful particle beam weapon known as the Death Ray that could have proved invaluable in the ongoing conflict. So rather than risk Tesla's technology falling into the wrong hands of America's enemies, the government swooped in and took possession of all the property and documents from his room at the New Yorker hotel. What happened to Tesla's files? From there, as well as what exactly was in those files, remains shrouded in mystery, and the article goes on. So now, they found out how he tapped into this type of free energy that could have uplifted the entire world, but then bankrupt the powers that be at the time with their investments with all these electricity. They literally took him out of the history books. This is why you never heard of him up until Elon Musk made, a car brand in his name, dedicated that to him, right? So once again, what they did was they burnt down his lab too, by the way, right? They burned down his lab. They said, look, we're not going to put it in the history books. Let's take away his research, his data. Let's keep it in this dark ass room. So what did it come down to? Conflict of interest once again on all three counts. Whether that's Donald Trump not being a warmonger, whether that was Abraham Lincoln abolishing slavery, right? War is money, slavery is money, or whether that was the GOAT himself right here, where is he? Nikola Tesla disrupting the oil and gas industry with super advanced technology at the time. It all was a conflict of interest, and they had to get them out the way. So, this is how I break shit down. I like to look at history, and I connect the dots to the present, and everything makes sense. Lock out all that noise. Get those distractions out the way, guys. Let me know what you think in the live chat, and also let me know what you guys think if you're watching the replay in the comments section. So you know what? There only much left to see other than, till the next one, you're on your own, bro. Later.
Francis Dune Uncensored.